Tonight's episode of the 31st Lap Podcast is brought to you by DirtTrackDigest.com. If it's on dirt, it's on Dirt Track Digest.
This is the 31st Lap Podcast, recorded live in the studios of FingerLakes1.com in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. And now, your hosts, Chris Marquardt.
Good afternoon, good evening, welcome to episode number 199 of the 31st Lap. If you can believe that, almost made it to 200 so far. Looking to have a pretty good episode tonight. On deck, we're going to be talking with Nick Guererri following his win over at Outlaw Speedway last night. Good win for him. He's been on the show a couple times before. And before we get into Nick, we're going to be talking with Tim Sears Jr., who picked up another win over at Fulton Speedway. It's his first of the year. We're going to be getting with him here in just a second as well. A couple rainouts to make mention of. Last night, Outlaw finally getting their race in. They were rained out on Tuesday. Utica Rome and Weedsport both rained out on Sunday night. Tough break. Utica Rome now 6 in a row. They've swapped to having some action this evening with a game plan of racing right now. Have not got any immediate updates for you. I know John Baumus was not able to join us for the show, but it had nothing to do with racing-related activities. He was digging a new patio at his house. So over the weekend, Tim Sears, we're going to be catching up with him here right now. Tim, can you hear us okay?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Tim picked up a win at Fulton Speedway. It was no easy task, as any feature win is, coming over there at Fulton. It was win number 4 for you. Congratulations on the victory. It's got to feel pretty good to get that win out of the way early.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the last year we were questioning if we were even going to get one, but so we got one late last year, and this year we've been pretty fast early, so hopefully we can get a couple more.
It was, I believe it was in July last year when you finally got one, or might even have been before that. That drought, how much does that start to weigh on you when you keep going? I mean, you guys over there at Fulton, it's no slouch of a field. It's a super dirt week field every week, just like Brewerton or Canandaigua has been the last several years. So, to continually run in the top 6 is not bad, but man, once you get in victory lanes, someplace you want to get back to.
Oh yeah. Well, we're all racers. We all want to win. We don't do it because we don't want to win. I mean, I always want to win every time I go out. So, and the field of drivers is phenomenal. I mean, we race every Friday at Brewerton Speedway too, and that's like going to a Super Dirt Series race every week. And Fulton ain't much different. I mean, we got some really good rookies. We got Ferguson. He's in his second year, and he was really quick all weekend last weekend. He was tough to beat.
Take me through that feature as it played out. I mean, it always seems that Fulton will give you plenty of choices. If your car doesn't work good down low, you'll find success in the middle. If it doesn't work in the middle, you can go to the top and you can run there. There's always plenty of groups to work with, which is pretty handy when you're working through lap traffic as well. Take us through that race and how difficult it was to secure that win.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when we first went out, because the sprint cars and stuff were there, so the track was pretty slick when we first got out there, and there wasn't really much of a top, so you were pretty much just rolling the middle and right in the black, or you were right on the bottom. The bottom was really good coming off of 2, and through 3 and 4, you just kind of had to roll around the tires, and you could get a little bit coming off, but it was tough. I mean, we started 13th, and we just plugged away on the bottom, and we got a restart right about mid-race, and we were 6th on the restart. I was actually shocked because everyone got so spread out. It was hard to tell where you were, and when we went back green, we got to start on the top, and we were able to roll around a couple guys to restart to get up to 3rd, and just kind of took off from there, just kind of picked them away one by one.
Do you set your car up for the long run? I mean, do you assume that you're going to be running longer stints there?
Well, personally, I like when it goes green to checkered, but when our car's good, it's nice to have a couple cautions in there because it plays out into your hand. If your car's good, it's easy to pick up a couple spots on restarts and stuff, so not bad.
I've talked to a couple drivers who, when they get in that sequence of yellow flags that keeps the field tight, especially if they happen layered on top of each other in the middle segment of the race, they start getting concerned about if they ran a hard tire versus a soft tire, the tire is not going to stay with them as effectively. If on the longer run the car goes better. What do you guys keep in terms of notes on a night that you win? Do you keep track of caution flags? Do you keep track of what the tire combination was? I know you're fairly limited over there at Fulton, participating under the dirt car rules, but how much do you make note of so that you can try and replicate those conditions again?
We don't really keep much note on it. We just as long as you keep your car straight, you're not going to overheat your tire, and then when the caution comes out, a lot of the times you'll seal it over if you overheat it.
Mm-hmm.
Then it just gives up on you. But
right.
we don't, as long as you keep your car straight and just try not to slide it, I mean, you can keep your tire under you as long as you can.
Those are words to live by. Keep the tire on as long as you can.
Yeah.
Do you like it when the sprint cars are in town? What does that do to the track surface? I know you alluded to it being slick, but it seems like a lot of the modified drivers like it dry slick in the Northeast anyway.
Yeah, I mean, with the track dry and slick, there's a lot less banging, and the track gets wide so you can race all over it. I think it makes for better racing, because then the guys that have their cars a little bit better usually prevail over the guys that kind of miss the setup. So it just makes it more of a racer's track.
Mm-hmm.
So I prefer it a little bit slicker.
You talked about the guys being a little bit better. We know there's a lot of parity at Fulton. You set this up a little bit for me. The little bit better, how much different is a little bit better on a track that's dry slick? I mean, a little bit better, is that going to gain you several spots, or is it so even that you need to be significantly better than somebody else?
Well, when it's slick, you gotta be really on your game to make it to the front, and a lot of times you just it is hard to get there, but if your car is good, usually you can move around the track, and some guys that just slide a little bit in different spots than you, and it's usually just pretty much drive. Whoever has the best drive, whoever gets off the corner the best, usually prevails.
You started in the modifieds, was it 2012 when you got into the big blocks?
I think so.
And you ended up getting a win in your first year out. How rewarding was that?
Oh, that was awesome. I mean, like my Uncle Tom told me it took him 6-8 years before he got his first win, but I've been very fortunate since we moved up. I've had pretty good equipment under me, and my grandparents and my Uncle Tom and my dad, they helped me out tremendously. I mean, Uncle Tom, he's been doing it for a long time, so he's been really right behind me, and every week we trade notes and just keep trying to get each other better.
How much information sharing is there? I mean, at this point, you got 4 or 5 years now of modified experience under your belt. You can bring some stuff to the table in that conversation. When you first started doing it, I imagine you had a ton of questions for Uncle Tom.
Oh yeah, I mean, when we first started, we were relying on him a lot, and the last couple of years, we actually scale our cars together. There's no secrets between us. Everything we do is together, so we're just a racing family.
You talked a little bit about Brewerton. Matt Shepard winning at Brewerton Speedway on Friday night, starting 12th in the order. He picked away at the lead group and eventually got up into second place with about 7 laps to go, and then made the winning pass and turned straight forward to get by Chuck Bauer at that point. Shepard held on over Bauer by just about a second. Shepard won again at Canandaigua over Billy Decker and Tim Fuller. He won last night over at Outlaw Speedway. Matt Shepard's a force to contend with. What's it like racing against that guy on a weekly basis at Brewerton?
Oh, he's got his stuff together there. I mean, personally, I don't get around Brewerton very well, so I've had some good runs there, but it's just that place is tough, and Matt, he's like a mad scientist there. He's pretty well figured out that place, and Brewerton's tough. From what everyone tells me, Brewerton's one of the toughest tracks to race at with a big block. So they have a couple good runs there we've had, and then just we watch him every week, and we try to learn from what his car looks like and what his car does, and we try to replicate it with ours.
a couple more notes from the area. Mike Leedy winning the Race of Champions event over at Spencer Speedway. It's the fourth time that Leedy has won under the Race of Champions designation over there at the asphalt track in Williamson. Matt Hirschman was second there. Leedy took the lead on lap 22 and held on through the finish. Hirschman gave him a little bit of a pressure at the end, but it wasn't enough for him to get by. That was the first of 6 appearances for the New York Superstocks as well. Bill Frisbee winning that event, and Matty Verts won the 15-lap four-cylinder race. On the topic of Outlaw, like we said, race last night, it was Eric Rudolph coming away with the win over there at Outlaw on Friday. Ransomville, they had the night off, so he was able to come down and check that out. He said that it was an R&D trip, all in all, round and round, and it paid off. He was second place to Matt Shepard last night. Tyler Seary, Danny Johnson following on Friday. Steve Payne came from 21st up to 4th. Danny Johnson looked like he'd got those woes settled down a little bit over there at Outlaw, but he had some more problems last night after his top 3 finish on Friday. At the end of the, let's see, which race was that? A.J. Lloyd came away with the win in the Sportsman division. And in the street stocks, there was 2 features for them. Chuck Winslow winning the first, and Gene Balmer came away second. Nate Daggett suffered a failure midway through that makeup feature, but he came home third. Laverne Knickerbocker won the other street stock feature. Sean Bruce won the IMCA's. Ray Heyer, he won the 4-cylinder main in a dominant fashion, and that certainly threw up some more red flags 2 weeks in a row for Ray Heyer, and he was found that he was in violation of the carburetor rule, so that means that Dave Wetham came away with the win over Erica Bell and Corky Grant. Austin LaBar, he made a last corner pass. It was a pretty wise move, too. It was pretty cool to watch that one come together, and Utica, like we said, they're running right now. You have any plans to get out and see some other tracks this year, or are you going to kind of stick at home and focus on the local stuff?
As of right now, we're just sticking around home. I mean, right now we're really busy at work and stuff, so we're with being as busy as we are, it's hard to get out of work and get to different tracks and stuff. So as of right now, we're just gonna stick with our local stuff.
Is that an ultimate goal? I mean, where do you want this modified thing to get to?
Well, every young racer's dream is to race for a living, but those opportunities are few and far between. So what we're doing right now is, I mean, we're always open for help and more sponsors and stuff. So, I mean, whatever anyone that brings to the table, we'll take a look at it and go from there.
How tough is it to get sponsorship for a modified this in this economic climate that we've got?
It's really tough. I mean, I talk to people and they're really interested, and then some people just aren't interested at all, and some guys will tell you, yeah, we're interested, and then it's hard to get a hold of them again. But I mean, it is tough. I mean, running, you got to be good and run up front for people to really actually take a serious look at you, and sometimes that's tough in this class because that takes a lot of time, and unfortunately it takes some money sometimes to be there every week, and sometimes we just lack a little bit of that, and it's tough.
How tough was the decision to come up to the big block division for you? I mean, obviously your family's been in motorsports a long time. I'm sure that there was some equipment around so that you could make that transition a little bit easier, but nonetheless, still is a large pill to swallow.
Oh yeah, I mean, we moved up from Sportsman, and when we moved up, we were fortunate enough. John White and Gypsum, LJL, they helped us out tremendously with the decision to move up, and we just took off from there. They're still helping us today. We have their engines under the hood, and so far it's working out great.
I would think that it's working out great. It looks like you've come away with a handful of wins now. You're only 3 or 4 wins behind Tom at this point in the all-time win list in Fulton. Did you ever imagine that would be a statistic that you're chasing?
No. Well, a couple of years ago, my mom pulled out one of my wish lists that I wanted to, the goals I wanted to fulfill in my life that I filled out in like 5th grade, and actually that win a big block race was on it, and I've been very fortunate, and we've actually done that, and my goal was to actually beat my dad in sportsman wins, but we ended up getting an opportunity to move up before I could get to that one, so we'll just keep picking away at them.
You gonna drop back down so you can chase that?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, they make that tough now with rules and stuff, so
Right.
That's just a tough one.
What was that transition like? I know we're going back a little ways, but it's always interesting to get drivers' thoughts, especially young drivers who have come from the sportsman division and moved up into the modifieds. What was that transition like? What was the biggest shock? What was hard to get used to?
The biggest one was getting those big blocks to slow down. I mean, once you get them things rolling, man, it's hard to get them slowed down. And once you get that, it makes it a lot easier. And then the power coming off the corner. With the sportsmen, with the crates now, they got the cars and everything so good now where you can pretty much just put them right to the floor and they just go. And with the big blocks, the hardest thing to learn is not to spin the tires, and because it doesn't matter how slick or how fast the track is, you can usually spin the tires and just be easy on the throttle. That's probably been the hardest thing.
Do a lot of guys make the mistake of thinking that they got all this raw power, it's going to be able to go into the corner, hammer down, and just turn the fastest lap times of their life?
Oh, I mean, everyone wishes they could do that, but sometimes that's just not realistic. I mean, there's plenty of times where I felt my car was really good and fast, and I come in and my dad says, that wasn't very good. And then there's times where I feel like I'm really slow, and my dad comes in and tells me I look really good. So it's just, it's a really tough game.
Is that a mistake that a lot of guys make when they start working towards that big block transition, is going into it thinking that they're going to be able to turn incredible lap times, and they just straight out don't because they make the mistake by misjudging the power, misjudging the throttle points, things like that?
Yeah, I mean, when you first move up, your pick points, where you pick up the throttle, where you let off the gas, where you brake, everything changes. So it's really tough to get used to. So it's like I said, it's tough to get there.
How about some of the rookies that you see now? I mean, you were complimentary of them early on, and some of the guys that are new to the division seem like they've got a relatively good handle on the car at this point. Have they come and asked you any questions, being that you're a little bit younger, maybe potentially less intimidating than some of the older guard at Fulton?
No, I haven't had any of them come to me, but I mean, I talk to Andrew Ferguson just about every week after the races, and we talk a little bit, and he's learning, and let's be honest, I'm still learning every day. I mean, even Matt Shepard probably learns every time he goes out, and how he can make his car better, and how he could do something different to maybe gain a couple more positions and stuff. It's just this big block stuff. You just got to be very precise and just hit your marks, and you just got to be on the wheel all the time.
In terms of the big block stuff, why? Have you got any thoughts of at some point trying a different type of racing? We've seen the crate late model, which has sort of gained some momentum. We've seen some modified drivers have some good success in sprint cars. Why stick with that? Why not stick with that? Any thoughts on that?
I've actually done quite a bit of crate late model racing, and I really like the late model cars. I mean, them cars, you can do so much with them, and they're actually really pretty quick too, with the crates in them. I mean, I can't imagine a World of Outlaw, but that's probably my dream, is to race a World of Outlaw late model. But with that opportunity just has never come across.
No. Well, get John on the phone. Maybe he can put something together for you.
that would be definitely something to check off the list.
Aren't the late models are coming June 21st to Weedsport Speedway?
Yep. Oh, I'll be there to watch.
well, what the heck? Make that phone call.
We got to find someone to make the phone call, too.
Call John. Tell him he's got it. He can take care of you. It's just one race. What's the worst that could happen, right?
Yeah. We'll have to do some talking.
So you like the late models. That's interesting because usually we hear the conversation say, you know, I've come up around modifieds. I've seen the modifieds. That's what I know, especially with your family connections to it. I haven't come across a lot of guys in our neck of the woods that say that they're a fan of the late model. They'd rather trend towards the 360 sprint car. What's the connection there? Just the fact that they looked cool, or you had success in them prior?
Well, I drove one for Eric Kingsley and pit stop and that, and we had a lot of success in them and up here, but we traveled a little bit too. But when we traveled, we struggled, and that struggle was just made when we traveled down to PA and struggled. It just kind of makes you wanna get better at it, and I feel like I wasn't quite. I just always want to be the best that I can be, and I just feel like I didn't quite get there, and you always just want to get better, and
sure. The
cars just really attracted me. I really like the body style, and I really like the suspension and stuff on them. The sprint cars and stuff, I'm not saying I wouldn't drive one, but they're not quite as appealing as the late models to me.
Yeah, Danny Varon picked up the win in the sprint cars over there at Fulton Speedway over the weekend. In terms of that late model suspension, what is it that you like about that versus what the modified offers?
I really like the 4-link suspension on the rear, and the independent front suspension. That's what really appeals me. I mean with the independent, if you put independent front suspension on these modified cars, we could probably get them going even better than they are now, and make them even faster. So that the suspension is the biggest part.
Do they need to be faster?
I don't think they do. No, you're always looking to get that little bit of extra to get the advantage on the next guy. So you're always just thinking.
The racer in you says yes, but the setup guy says no, huh?
Yep, that's exactly what it is. That would make a lot more work when you do clip a tire or something. You get in a tangle up with the front end and you bump into someone with the tire or something. That would definitely make a lot more work, that's for sure.
Those late models are a lot of fun to watch, though. When they go into the corner and they pick up the throttle and the back end just shifts forward underneath it and they stand right up and they take off. I love it. Late models are one of the most enjoyable cars to watch. I had a chance to watch them all over the place, and they are a ball.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's no better feeling than that left rear tucking up under and driving you right across the track and down the straightaways. There's nothing like it.
How did that late model ride come together? Was it just right place, right time?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, my Uncle Tom, not a long time ago, but a while ago, actually drove modifieds for Eric Kingsley, and Eric actually worked on my dad and Uncle Tom's cars for a while, and when I was running Sportsman, when I was first starting, and when that late model class came around, he had another car, and we just were talking, and he hooked us up.
I vaguely remember that now. I was remembered when you were running the Sportsman cars. I remember when you jumped into the big blocks. I'd forgotten the fact that you'd spent some time in that late model and had some pretty good success up there at Fulton. We touched a little bit on Brewerton and what a Friday night there is like, and that it's a little bit tougher track. What's the comparison? I mean, you've got Fulton that is so wide, it's steeply banked. You've got a lot of options there, and Brewerton offers a whole different set of challenges.
Oh, yeah. Brewerton, that D-shaped, I mean, it's got... Fulton, the corners are fairly close to the same at each end. Brewerton, they're two completely different corners, and that's what really throws you off, because you got to slow down so much in 1 and 2, but then 3 and 4 is more of a sweeping where you come into 3 really fast, but then you slow down coming off, and it's just a really tricky D shape.
In terms of trying to figure that track out, which one's the easier one to get a handle on when you were transitioning into the big block, Fulton or Brewerton?
It was Fulton. Because Fulton's where I first learned. I mean,
right.
I raced the rookie sportsman class there that's where I first started. That was the first race cars I've ever driven, so Fulton just was a lot more natural.
How old were you when you got in the sportsman car for the first time?
I was 15.
Yeah. Interesting. I know that we mentioned a lot of people off and on as we were talking here tonight. Is there anybody else that you wanted to make mention of here before we move on out of here?
Oh yeah, I gotta thank my grandparents. They've given up a lot for me, and they've done the best they could do for me and my parents and my wife and Mullen Industrial. They sponsor my Uncle Tom. They do a lot for us too, and I got to thank LJL Kevlar for they built some awesome power plants and really nice people to deal with and to work right next to. And I gotta thank Phoenix Sports Bar and Integra Shocks.
And this win give you a little bit of momentum going forward here this weekend?
Well, it's been a really positive week in the shop so far, so we're hoping to carry a little bit of momentum into the rest of the year, hopefully.
You had to come a little ways up through the pack. Obviously, handicapping and stuff is a factor there. Forecast looking like we might get a little bit of rain in the central New York area. Is the likelihood of seeing a dry track? Is it sounding like you're going to see dry slick again, and will you be able to come up through the field?
Well, I'm not sure yet. I haven't really looked at the weather much in the last couple of days. But Fulton, we're hoping it's going to be dry and slick, and Fulton's pretty hard right now, so we're thinking it's going to be, if it's not slick at the beginning, it'll be slick by the end. So hopefully we can make some moves and get towards the front.
Awesome. Well, Tim, I appreciate you coming on the show and hanging out with us for a little while, and we wish you the best of luck this weekend. Keep in touch.
Yes, sir.
Thanks a lot, Tim. We'll see you soon.
Yep, thanks for having me on.
You bet, Tim. Take care. Bye now. There goes Tim Sears, winner over the weekend at Fulton Speedway. Congratulations to him. Going to jump right into Nick Guererri, who came away with a win over the last night at Outlaw Speedway. First thing we have to find out is if he's going to answer for us.
Oh.
Hey, Nick, can I put you in?
Yes, sir.
Nick Guererri joining us here on the hotline. Congratulations on that win, my man.
Thank you very much. Long time coming, finally.
How meaningful is this one?
Oh, it's big. I mean, it's been discouraging the last year and a half. We've had all kinds of struggles, and we've had good cars that broke, and we've had engines that wouldn't run, and just all kinds of bad luck. So to finally get the monkey off our back, it's a huge confidence booster for the whole team.
You talked about some of the struggles that you've had. It's been a very long year and a half. We just talked a little bit with Tim Sears. He himself had some struggles getting some momentum going over the last year, trying to get back into victory lane. You've had an even longer dry spell. How do you keep going? What's the motivation to keep pressing on?
It's just everyone that supports us. And then there's times that you sit back and you think, is it me? Is it something I'm doing? Do I still got it? Or just wonder if your luck's ever going to change. And what keeps you going is just the people that stand behind you, your family, your friends, the sponsors. Those guys don't go away. We work harder and stay determined and try to stay positive and keep plugging, because at some point the luck's got to change. So thankfully it was last night.
So is this a sign of things to come? Did you hit on some magic combination last night at Outlaw, or was there another factor at play?
Yeah, I think the car has been good all year long. We've had some carburetor troubles. I'm not sure what was going on there, but we had 2 top fives at Canandaigua the last 2 weeks. The last time we were down at Outlaw, we came from 16th to 6th, and then overheated on lap 9 in a race. So we had a good car that night. It's just been some bad luck. I haven't been able to finish things off. So last night, I think it's a sign of things to come, and we just finally put it all together last night and had some luck on our side and had a really good race car.
Talking with Tim a little bit about the modified and the dry slick track, what do you prefer to see? I know Outlaw has had a tradition of having a very good surface all night long. It's still squishy and moves around, even though it's tight on the top. It's got a particular degree of grip still, even late in the night. How was the track last night, and what do you prefer?
Last night was actually pretty slippery, and leading into that all week long, I was super pumped because they put the schedule of events up, and I saw we were last after the modifieds, and I absolutely love it. The slicker, the better for me. I don't know. With great racing, I think it's better when the track is slick. It's nice and wide. You can move around and brings the driver into it. I don't really like when it's tacky. Everybody's fast, and we all have the same engine, so it's really hard to move around and pass. And someone really has to make a mistake for you to get by them. So when it's slick, you can actually do some racing, and if you have a good car, you can get to the front. And if you have a bad car, you're not going to hold on there for very long. So last night was nice and slick. We went after the modifieds, and then we had high winds all day yesterday, so that dried the track out even worse. So got a little dusty. It's probably a little dusty for the fans, but it was nice and smooth for us, nice and smooth and slick, and I appreciate those guys at Outlaw, sticking with it. We had sprinkles throughout the night, and they got it in, so I appreciate those guys putting in the effort.
What'd you think when Rocky, Brian Sipple listening at home, what'd you think when Rocky pulled up next to you under the red flag?
No, I wasn't too shocked. I knew he was starting back there, and he's always coming to the front, so I didn't expect him to be there that fast. I thought we were in trouble, honestly, when I saw him starting beside us already on that restart, but thankfully we never saw him after that again.
Tell me a little bit. Had to get some details taken care of. When you're out in front, do you feel comfortable when you're out there early, or do you get uneasy thinking maybe you're getting too much of a lead?
Leading, so I chased most of the race. I didn't get the lead until I think it was about 5 to go. We were chasing down A.J. Lloyd, and he got in lap traffic. I'd much rather be chasing from the second place. I really didn't want to be leading at that point because sometimes the lines change and you can see where you're gaining on somebody else or where you're losing. And I think the second place always has the advantage. So we were gaining on AJ. He had a good lead, and we ran him down, and then he caught lap traffic, and we just got to the back bumper of him, and he actually got a little too low and clipped a U tire. So we ended up getting by him. He got loose and pushed out the track, and we snuck by. And once that happened, we had a restart that came out, and I thought I was pretty comfortable. And then I looked up at the board, and I saw Casey Pavlik starting second. And I know he's really good on the outside there, and I had running the bottom. So I was just going to stick to the bottom and go with what got us to the front and hope for the best. And thankfully, it worked out.
Is it a mind game? I mean, is he pulling up on top, and is that factoring in your head, knowing he's so good on the top? As a lead car, whether you're in lap traffic or not, you're not necessarily searching around. Your fast line is your fast line. The guy in second place, as you just alluded to, the second guy sort of has the upper hand. He can search around. He's got to try and find the faster line because he's got to make up time and still be able to get past you as the leader. So what's going through your mind at that? You said you were going to stay on that low groove because that's what got you there.
Yeah, that's what got me there, and I made 90% of the passes I made. We came from 7th and drove up through every pass I had was on the bottom. So that's what I was going to stick with, and if I was going to get beat, it was going to be someone going around the outside. And I knew there wasn't a lot of bite up there, so I know if I stuck to the brown really low on the bottom, I don't think anybody could have pulled us off the corners. That's where we were really well. I mean, especially off of 4, I was slowing down quite a bit in 3 and 4, so I could drive off the bottom down by the infield down the front straightaway, and I think that's what got it to us because he pulled up alongside in 3 and 4 way up on the outside. But I knew as hard as he went in, he wouldn't be able to drive off very good. So as long as they stuck to that brown, we were going to be good.
How tough is it to use the outside line with the crate motors? I know momentum's a big thing. I know setup's a big thing. You got to get the right combinations. You've got to be able to actually drive the car, like you said, on the slicker tracks. But how tough is it to pass on the outside, regardless of track surface?
It just depends how it is. I think at Black Rock, a lot of times it's a little easier there to pass on the outside because everybody gets bottlenecked down on the bottom. 3 and 5, it seems that 3 and 4 is always better on the outside than bottom of 1 and 2 for some reason. And I go every week there to watch. So I haven't raced there much. We race there a few times a year. But I do head over there most weeks to help my cousin Frank running the late model over there. And so I do watch a lot of racing over there and watch the lines and pay close attention to what goes on in the sportsman class there. And I kind of pick up on the lines. And, Pavlik and Gray, those guys were running good on the top last year. But with the crates, like I said, when it gets tacky, it's hard to pass. So if everybody's hooked up on the bottom, you're probably not going to go around the top of someone. But when it slips out like it did last night, you can move around a little bit. Side sometimes works out.
So what kind of bragging races does this give you for the week at the shop? I know you guys are all sort of packed into the same couple doors.
Yeah, that's good. I'm going to take it for all it's worth all the way till Saturday night because we got a short week now. Saturday, someone else is going to have bragging rights, so I'm gonna take it for all it's worth and let those guys have it. I know we had some ball busting going all week long and continued into the gate, and one of my guys walked in and drew me 92 to start the night. So I'm pretty pumped that we overcame the bad draw and got up front and finally got a win.
Is it because of the new bright orange on the car? Is that the key?
I'm sorry, I was losing you there, Chris.
Hang on, let me try and pump that up for you. Is it because of that new bright orange that's on the car? Is that the key going faster?
Yeah, I think so. We changed it up, trying to change our luck. So hopefully that's what's going to help us this year.
I mean, coming away with the win Saturday at Canandaigua, that's gotta be a real good chip on the shoulder if you could pull that off, isn't it?
Yeah, that would be awesome. We're coming off 2 top 5s there, and to be honest, the car wasn't very good this past Saturday. Well, we still ended up with a 5th. We came from 10th, ended up 5th. Had those same carburetor troubles at Canandaigua, so I'm pretty excited to get back. We actually borrowed a carburetor from Casey Pavlik last night and won with it. We're going to use it again Saturday night while I send mine out to get looked at. So I'm pretty excited to get back with something we know that's good and at a track I know well.
Is this a new carburetor that was on the car prior to the one that you borrowed from Casey?
Yeah, it was brand new this year, and we bought 4 of them. My brother has one, my uncle has one, and Kevin Ridley has one. And it ran fine for a few weeks, and I don't know, something's going on with it in the corners, just spitting and sputtering a little bit, and we chased it all night last night and ran in qualifying and ran in our heat race. Thankfully, we came away the second, even running as bad as it was in the heat race. But Casey was, nice enough to loan us a carburetor, and we ran it in the feature, and that one went well. So we're going to stick with that Saturday and get mine sent out and see what's going on.
Now, did he want to swap carburetors with you and let you have his, and he takes his back?
No, after the race, he told me I was going to have good luck with tech because he told me the carburetor is illegal. Just busting on us, laughing about it. But he was the first one to come over and congratulate us, and I got to know Casey over the years at Black Rock, hanging out down there and watching, and he ran some of the Grit Series stuff the last few years. So we got to know him and his guys, and they're a really good group of people.
On the topic of the morale at the shop, how about Paul? Has he got his car put back together after he wrecked it?
He's working on it. He actually got it back from Troyer yesterday. Quite a bit of work. They went to 2x4s on that, and it'll put a complete front clip on it. Oof. That's going back together, but they'll be ready to go Saturday night. A
little bit of momentum here. A couple top 5s, even when the car wasn't good, coming away with the top 5. Carburetor swap. You did some extensive rebuilding in the off season too, so finally starting to see a little bit of those benefits. You did a lot in the off season to get ready.
Yeah, we kind of went back a couple of years. Last year we had a brand new car and engine program and carburetor and all that kind of stuff, and it was the worst year we've had and since we've been racing, the 10 years I've been in it. And so we made wholesale changes, and we kind of went back a couple of years to the Troyer TD1 car that we had success with a few years back. So I went out and bought one of those, and that's what we're back to, and we're going off our notebook from a couple of years ago, and we're picking right up where we left off.
Now, at one point you were looking at a new motor down in Pennsylvania. Did you get that or not?
Yeah, we actually, that was the one I had trouble with last year. We sent it back, and they did some work on it, and we ended up getting it back, and I sold it. I ended up buying a brand new one. I didn't want to have anything, going on that we had last year. I didn't want to deal with it anymore. So when we got that back from Crate Motor Connection, we ended up selling it. So.
Gotcha. So it was the old power plant, basically turning back the clock, or new power plant, and the old technology based on the car, and quote-unquote old technology with the Troyer choice, and now we've got some good results showing up. When everything was coming together, and you're putting it all together, you've gone back into the notebook, you had success with it before, that's got to make you feel like you're at least poised for some success, but it took a couple weeks to get up to that point. What was going through your mind those opening weeks at Canandaigua and looking at some of the other tracks that were getting rained out, not getting the chance to run anywhere when you were having a couple of those struggles?
It was, to be honest, it was really frustrating. I mean, it's to the point where, stupid things would happen, and then in the first week we caught on fire, and then we had a flat, and we went over to Weedsport and got in a wreck, and then we had carburetor troubles. It was just kind of like last year starting all over again, and you're just thinking, oh man, not this again. All year long we're going to have this bad luck again, and sometimes you start doubting yourself as a driver, thinking, am I doing something wrong? Should I be doing this? Should I be doing that? And sometimes you stray away from your notebook a little bit and try some new things and get yourself out of whack, but thankfully we went back to that old notebook a few weeks into the season, and the luck started turning around here a couple weeks ago, and boosted the morale of the whole team. And it's exciting to go back to the track again, knowing we have a shot at the top 5 and a win every time we pull into the track.
What's the season hold for you at this point? I mean, we saw you make the start here at Outlaw, which is somewhat a rare start. You don't go race there on Friday nights. Primarily Saturday nights you're home at Canandaigua. What else are you planning to do with this season as we move towards the summer?
We'll stick with Saturday nights up at Canandaigua for sure. That's going to be an every week deal. The whole family's there. My brother, Paul, all of our friends that they're home for Saturday nights. I don't think we'll ever leave there, but we'll stick to the Grit Series deal.
Yeah.
We're definitely going to run all the North Series, which is the Hoosier races. The South deal, we missed one back when we were having some bad luck, but then we just won another one last night. So it might not put us too bad in the points, so we'll see how that shakes out, and we'll hit as many as we can. We'll head over to Weedsport. Mohawk Northeast is a sponsor on the side of the car, so we're going to go over and hit all the Weedsport races that they have. I think they have 9. We raced 1 and then 1 rained out, so I think there's 7 left over there. And then fingers crossed for Rolling Wheels. It's one of my favorite tracks, so hopefully something gets done over there. We can run some shows.
Yeah, there's some interesting stuff going on over there. The website continuing to come up as under construction, so I'm kind of interested to see what officially comes of all that. There's some rumblings, but I haven't been able to confirm anything. There's some. I'm liking some of the prospects of it, though. It's going to be interesting. You said you like Rolling Wheels with the crate car. What's special about that place?
I think it's just the speed of it. It's nice. It's fast. It's wide. And if you have a good car, you're going to get to the front there. There's not, if you have a bad car, you're not going to hold people up for 20, 30 laps over there. If you got a good car, you're going to go to the front, and there's room to move around. And I think the driver's into it over there too. Like, you have to be able to keep momentum and get through those corners. And looking back, that was the first time I ever hit the track in a sportsman car. I took one of Paul's cars out. He had 2 cars at the time, so I took my first sportsman laps at Rolling Wheels. So it's always going to stick in my mind as one of my favorites.
You had the chance to try out the late model?
No, not yet. We're going to get Frank some more seat time in. He's still trying to get things figured out and work the bugs out of it. So once he gets that straightened out, we'll probably go over to Paradise and have a little fun on a Wednesday night.
Brian Sipple's boy Troyer says hi, checking in from home. Young fan.
Hey guys, Troyer last night. Troyer was down in Victory Lane last night with us.
Yeah, that kid's a race fan, man. He's everywhere.
He is everywhere.
I'm still trying to get my head around the fact you've been in a sportsman car for 10 years. That didn't click when I was talking to you at your race party. It's been 10 years.
Yeah, it's been 10 years. Yeah, we worked for the years working on Paul's cars and learning about the cars, and then finally picked up my car. And what was it, 2006 now? And I've been in the sportsman ever since. I never raced anything before that, so we hopped in with both feet, and here we are 10 years later.
Well, you jumped in with both feet in one of the stoutest sportsman classes around. And, I mean, year in and year out, even though we've had some drivers move in and out of the division, you've seen some very, very successful sportsman drivers come through Canandaigua on a weekly basis.
Yeah, Canandaigua's got the best fields around, hands down, year to year, since I've been racing. I can't think of a stronger field anywhere, and I think that makes you, that much better when you head out to another track. When we go to the Outlaws, or when we go to, either Rome or I-88 or anywhere else we go. It's just, you roll into that track and, there's your Rocky Warner and Dave Marcichelli and those guys. But Dave we run against every Saturday night, and I don't think there's anybody that's, better than those guys when you show up at a track. And when you run against them Saturday night and you say, I can beat them. We beat them before. It just gives you a little more confidence going to those places, knowing that you race against, that talent or better talent every Saturday night.
Who's the toughest driver to pass that you've had to go up against?
I'd probably say Marcichelli.
Yeah.
Most places we go, just because he's so fast everywhere we go, and I tend to race with him a little bit more. I do race with Rocky every time we race with Rocky. He's tough to beat, and usually when he gets ahead of you, you're not going to catch him. So I think those two are on top of their game. And then basically anybody that gets to the front at Canandaigua is hard to pass, whether it be Paul or Kevin or any of those guys that have been racing for a long time at Canandaigua. Once they get out front, it's hard to run them down and pass them.
How's Paul doing? I know he had some bad luck. He had some bad luck here and just got the car back. But overall this year, has he been pretty happy? He seems like
yeah, his car's been really good. He's just been victim of circumstance a few times. He's been in some nasty wrecks and tore his car up a few times and had a brake problem one night. So he's not sitting up front in points like we're expecting him to, the top three like he usually is. But he picked up a win a couple weeks ago, and he's had some top fives. He's got a strong car. He just needs a little bit of luck.
Whose car do you work on more, yours, Paul's, or Frank's late model?
The hardest thing we probably do is load Frank's late model on the trailer because the trailer doesn't fit it very well. That's probably the most work we do all week long, trying to get that thing in and out of the trailer. But no, honestly, it's my car. There's a lot of us down there, but a lot of times we're working on our own cars. Myself, Frank, Kevin, my brother Matt all work out of the same shop. So there's four of us out here in Waterloo,
right.
And Paul has his out of his house out in Geneva. So he works on his out there with his guys, and us four work on ours down in our shop. So we basically all stick to our own thing. We kind of have a maintenance program, and each one of us knows what we have to do to get things done. My brother, Joey Russell, and a couple of the other guys help out and, lend a helping hand. And if anybody bangs something up or, needs major repairs, everybody's there to help. So all the work gets done. It's a lot of work, but we get it done.
It's not a lot of space either.
Yeah, not a lot of space. It's kind of like a puzzle, trying to figure out who's racing when to try to get the certain cars in front of the door so they can get out of the, when they're going racing during the week. But
well, it seems like it would be pretty simple. If it looks like a modified, it has preference. So right away, the late model's sitting outside all summer long. And then the person that won most recently, they're guaranteed a spot inside. So after that, it's just a matter of deciding what the other car going inside is, isn't it?
Yeah, we should probably do that. Whoever wins, the top two get to keep their cars inside and the other two outside. So I should probably propose that tonight so I can keep mine inside for a couple more days. I would
advise that. And if it doesn't look like a modified, then it stays outside. Simple as that. Frankie, you take the late model out back.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. I'll have you call Frank and run that by him.
I'd be happy to. I'm going to use an untraceable number though. You talked about Paul having a rough go. He's still top 5 in points.
He's still up there, but the way that his car's been running, I think he's gonna be a contender in the top. And it's bad that he had a couple wrecks, but he's definitely a top 2 car. He's been fast every single week and picked up a win 2 weeks ago and showed it. He'll be up there at year's end.
That Sportsman, that Grit Series has got a lot of support to it right now. What's the appeal of that? It doesn't seem like they're doing anything particularly different than other tours that have come and gone or that have tried to launch and things like that. What's the appeal of that? Is it proximity? Is it location? Is it money? What's the hook that everybody seems to be jumping on that Sportsman Series, the Grit Series with?
I think it's a combination because right now we really don't have a Central New York Series. There's nothing around here. We have the Dirt Series, but the Dirt Series is mostly in Canada, and then most of the guys that follow it are Canadian, or they live by the border. It doesn't really appeal to us because we're so far away, and we all have full-time jobs. We have crews that work full-time jobs, and we can't be traveling to Canada for 2 or 3 days, or
sure,
3 or 4 times during the year, during the week, to take days off to go that far. And a lot of the Grit Series deals are close to home. We run Utica Rome, Canandaigua, Black Rock, Woodhull, all the tracks around. And like you said, the pay is better than anything we run for. It's usually double what we run for on a Saturday night.
Wow.
Or anyone else. So they're minimum 1,000 to win, 100 to start. So I think that's the appeal. Anytime that you can show up at the racetrack and you're guaranteed $100, at least it's covered in your gas to get there and maybe your admission cost to get in. So obviously no one's in it to make money, but if you can minimize your losses, I think that's always a good thing. So I think the pay, being close to home, and Dick and Nick Stark are just, they're two great guys, and they work with the racers. They listen to the racers. They go out and get sponsorship. They do advertising, just try to promote their races. And then at year's end, they have some good prize money. There's big points money. They gave away a chassis last year, all kinds of product, tires, things like that. They put a good banquet on for the racers, and I think they take the time to go out and dig for sponsors and put up a good purse, and then at the end of the year, everybody that follows the series is rewarded.
If they keep doing that, they're going to keep getting more cars.
Yeah, definitely. I think the weather threw it off a little bit last night. I thought we should have had more cars than we did, but I think the forecast and moving the date, I don't think some people plan to be running Wednesday night. So, sure. I mean, every race we have, I think we should have, 40-plus cars. I know at Canandaigua we had 50 earlier this year. And,
man.
Another one at Black Rock, it was somewhere in the 40s, I think mid-40s over Black Rock for the last one, Outlaw, excuse me. But yeah, they're going to keep getting more and more cars as long as they keep taking care of their guys, and those guys do a great job with it. And they're even on with the street stocks now. They started the Fight Night Street Stock Series, so they're expanding a little bit and starting to take care of more and more racers.
I like that they're focusing on the divisions outside of the modifieds. There's so much attention put on those that leave a lot of those other divisions in the shadows. The Grit Series and now this Fight Night Series coming together. It's good to see.
Yeah, it's really nice to be, in the spotlight sometimes. And I know Weedsport followed suit with that, too, over there. They have the Sportsman Classic, and we're the headline show a couple times over there, too. So it's nice that, the promoters are taking a look and, seeing who's bringing in the biggest car counts, because the Sportsman's the biggest car count any track you go to. It's always the Sportsman, and I think it's the fastest-growing class, and they're realizing there's a lot of talent in the Sportsman class that's, kind of stuck there, and, some of the guys can't just afford to move up to the big block. So there's good talent there. There's really good equipment there. Then we put some really good racing on, so it's nice to see some promoters respecting that and rewarding their drivers.
On the topic of that, the dense populations that you go to, subsequently the Sportsman New Legends division, it's only got a couple cars running on a regular basis over there at Canandaigua. You see some of those other tracks that are doing this have a very healthy car count. What seems to be the disparity there?
I think at Canandaigua we dropped a little bit in Sportsman. We lost some cars here and there. So I think we're down to 26, 28 in the weekly regular Sportsman class. And from my shoes, if I was in a Legends car, and I'm thinking to myself, do I start last and run with the guys that have been running for years and get the 25 laps in the feature, or do I run with one other car or two other cars and run 10, 15 laps for $25? So it's kind of a seat time thing, and we went through this with my brother a few years back. He started in that Legends class, and he won a couple races, and then we moved him right up because he was getting more seat time, and he was racing with drivers that were experienced, and I think he can learn a little bit more. I think it's great for someone that's never raced before, and I mean, you can tell when guys get out there if they have it or if they don't have it. And some of the guys take longer to learn, so I think sometimes the class is a good thing, but I think sometimes if you're stuck in that class for too long or you wait too long to move up, I think you learn some bad habits and just stay there for too long. I think sometimes you can move up to the regular class and learn a lot more by running to the back of the pack and getting more laps.
I can see that. What about you? I mean, you've been in this division for a little while. You've had some success. You've had some struggles. Is this sort of where you want to hang out for an extended period? Do you have goals of trying to move up? Do you have goals of looking at another division?
Yeah, I don't think you're ever really satisfied with where you are. I think you always have to hope to go higher. So I mean, a modified division would be great, and that's something I always wanted to be, and that'd be a lifelong goal. But I mean, right now with the sponsorship help we have and the funding we have, it's just something that's not feasible for us. But at some point down the road, if we can pick up some wins and championships and things like that, maybe we can get noticed and maybe make it up to a 358 or a big block at some point. And definitely, we never turn something like that down. But I mean, car owners are getting less and less, and they know what it costs to run the big blocks. They have friends that do it and see what goes into it every week. So I mean, it's always something you want to do, but it's just not feasible.
On the topic of the car counts, coming back to that, I read online that Ray Hendershot pulling the plug on his racing program.
Yeah, Ray actually went with us last night. We had a long talk down and back. He rode with me. It was night number 1 for crew chief last night. Ray was. But, Ray's health issues and everything else are setting him back a little bit, and he took a step back and looked at what was important and decided that he was done racing. He did what he needed to do and met a lot of good people, and he wanted to step back and sell his equipment and still just hang out with the racetrack with his friends and be safe on the sidelines for now.
And he picked up a couple wins in the midst of it, and he was running with the regular division sportsmen and not the new legends. And you're right, it seemed like he checked off a lot of what he wanted to do for sure.
Yeah, Ray's he's an inspiration for all of us at the end of the day, with just the attitude that he showed up with every single day. His battle with cancer is something that a lot of us will never go through and don't understand. But when you go into that racetrack thinking you had a bad day or a bad week because your car ran bad or you got a flat tire or you crashed, and then you look over at Ray and Ray might have finished 10th or 12th and he's over there smiling, happy as could be. It's inspiring, and sometimes it makes you take a step back and look at what's really important. So I'm glad we met Ray. Last few years he pitted down with us, and we became really good friends with him and his family. So I think it's awesome that he's still going to hang around with us and go to the racetrack and everything else. So he's part of our racing family.
So he was your crew chief last night?
Yeah, Ray came down and crew chief. He was all over the place helping us last night, and that was pretty exciting. He ended up on the victory lane with us, and got home late at night last night, so I appreciate his help.
Now, logically, he's going to be your crew chief this weekend, right? Since he did turn the wrenches on the car that won.
Yeah, he has a good. I posted it out on his Facebook today. I told him he had a good win percentage, so we need to keep that going.
Right. Not too bad. I know you got some family commitments tonight, and I don't want to monopolize your whole night here. We've been talking for close to a half hour. It went by quick. I'll give you a chance if you want to. You mentioned Mohawk Northeast. Who are some of the other people that keep that car going?
First and foremost, I got to thank my wife for letting me do what I do. I mean, we sacrifice a lot of, at-home time and together time to do the racing thing, and I appreciate that. My brother, Joey Russell, Frank, Kevin Ridley, my dad, my brother Gibbs, everybody that helps out at the shop. I mean, it's very much appreciated, and we put a lot of work in. It's nice that it's paying off lately. Then obviously my sponsors, like you said, Mohawk Northeast, Pampered Parents, Champion Super Gen Products, Waterloo Container, Masses and Parts Plus, Small Town Shade, Number 9 Video. Just everybody that helps out. I mean, everybody helps out a little bit, and in the end, we make it work, and we're being successful here of late.
Well, I wish you the best of luck this weekend. And keep Ray safe. Keep him healthy. Keep him busy. Congratulations again. Congratulations again on the win, and keep in touch. Let me know how things are progressing. Hopefully, this is a sign of more wins to come.
All right, thanks, Chris. Thank you.
You bet, man. Oh, wait, we got one more note.
Yeah.
Troyer is going to be running a youth demolition derby July 2nd with the Back Row Gang. Is expected to be out there cheering him on, and if Ray's looking for another car to crew chief, there's a spot available.
All right, I'll pass the word. He'll have to remind us about that because I'll definitely forget.
No problem. Well, again, Nick, man, always good to talk with you. Wish you the best this weekend.
All right, thank you very much.
We'll see you later. No problem. There goes Nick Guererri wrapping up episode number 199, just as the battery begins to expire on our phone. That's going to do it here for episode number 199. Appreciate everybody that came on and was part of it with us. We will be back here again next week. Maybe we'll try and get a hold of Ray, see if he wants to come in and hang out and talk a little bit about what his experiences were like. Thanks a lot to everybody who was tuning in with us at home. We will be back here again next Thursday. We'll see you then.